Here we are podcasting. Welcome to. Well, there's your problem. It's a podcast about engineering disasters.
With slides.
And it has slides.
Yes, that's right. I ruined the joke.
I'm Justin Rosniak. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are he and him. Okay,
I like that little abbreviated thing. My pronouns. I am Alice Caldwell Kelly. I am the person who's talking now. My pronouns, she and her.
Liam Anderson, pronouns he, him. I am the person who's probably yelling at you on Twitter from the podcast account. Sometimes when Roz and I get drunk, it's both of us.
Yes.
And then you guys have to play the detective game of which one of us is drunk tweeting. I always like it when I'm not drunk tweeting, but Roz is, and people are just like, Liam's at the controls again. And I'm like, no. I see you're not a discerning listener because Roz is using punctuation. And he's not tweeting in all caps at the Eagles.
Yes.
We have a guest.
Why are you here, Milo?
Hello. Hello, it's me, Milo Edwards. My pronouns are on Yevor because I am the fucking Russia understander.
Yes,
that's right.
We have Milo here for being the only Westerner to ever go to Russia and learn about its culture.
Yeah, only person to speak the language, right. And I include every Russian in that.
Your dad has a bachelor's degree in Russian, Roz.
That is true. Yes, I also took several semesters of Russian, and then I forgot it all.
Yeah, but that's that. Both of you are like Western liberal academics. You don't understand the soul of Russia like Milo does.
I would say the majority of people I know who have a bachelor's degree in Russian cannot speak it.
Who? What? Where? I couldn't.
You got to go one at a time.
Yeah, you got to go one at a time.
Sorry.
It's just lag, I think. I was going to say the majority of people I know have bachelor's degrees in Russian cannot, in fact, speak it. So this sort of makes sense.
That sounds about right. Okay.
Do I have the talking hat?
You have the talking hat. Go ahead. You have the conch.
I was going to say, actually, when I was in band in high school, because I was in band in high school, we would have political debates, and we had to have a ball, and you weren't allowed to talk unless you had the talking ball. So it was just a bunch of teenagers who all thought they knew how the world worked, like A, screaming at each other about libertarianism, B, fighting over a ball.
Do you kids want to be like the real UN, or do you just want to squabble and waste time?
But I repeat myself. The other thing I was going to say is that someone got mad at us for making fun of Slavs in the last episode.
Yeah, because of our racism against Slavs.
Apparently, and us, we're doing cultural imperialism via blackface. I forget what we were doing there.
I just wanted to congratulate that one commenter who made that video our most commented video.
Just by that's like a 400.
Posting through it for like several hours.
Several days. All you got to do is get really in your feelings about me and what I do to this podcast, and you too can have several day-long YouTube comment experience.
Yeah, the most offensive thing you can do to Slavs is wear a big wig on your back to simulate having a really hairy back. That's their equivalent of blackface.
Wearing my Slav blackface merkin,
It's one of those Rasta hats, but it just starts at the bottom of your neck.
What were we exactly, about again?
And it's just a leather hat.
Rockets or some bullshit. Whatever annoys Roz, get continually off topic because we're ruining the podcast. And why isn't it just Roz talking? Go back to do not eat. Nah.
Listen. Even if we wanted to fire Alice, our corporate structure won't allow us to.
We can't.
You're stuck with me.
Yeah.
There's always 2 votes opposed at a minimum. Yeah, I always love when they're just like, oh, fire Alice, or even fire Liam, and I'm just like, A, I know where Roz lives, B, no.
Somebody said replace Alice with Joe Kasabian, which is a good idea. You should do that.
No, Joe gets enough money from his podcast. We must keep the Albanians down. This is a pro-Turk podcast now.
You say Albanians?
Yeah.
Isn't Joe Albanian?
He's Armenian.
He's Armenian.
Oh, my bad.
You fucked up. You have fucked up.
Oh, whatever.
Right.
I blame
Albania is the country that Ukraine should be.
I blame Rutgers University, the State University of New Jersey, for all my problems.
Every Balkan state should switch. Ukraine gets to move to fucking Albania. Albania gets to move to Moldova.
Balkanization is where they trade names once every decade.
Bosnia and Herzegovina, just everyone from the north side of the country goes south. Everyone from the south side goes north.
Sorry, Joe. You're Armenian.
Scotland gets independence, but it becomes England.
Everyone just shift to your right. There you go. Keep going.
Wales
Everybody
is moved to Azerbaijan.
you all of you guys in the Trash Future studio in London, you have to move to Glasgow, and I get to move to London.
You just have that big office all to yourself.
Oh, look at me.
We're all now married to Chris.
I live in Holland Park. Look how fancy I am. My name is Alice.
That's right.
Oh, Holland Park is pretty fancy.
That's the one thing I know.
Yeah, sadly, the Trash Future studio is very much not in Holland Park. It will not surprise you to learn.
Okay, so we're here to talk about a missile today that exploded.
Yeah, I see that.
Isn't that the point?
Ordinarily, it's a good thing when missiles explode. That means they're doing what they're supposed to do, right?
Missiles only do this when they're in extreme distress.
This is an example.
Yeah.
This is an example of when a missile exploded when it shouldn't have.
Oh no!
It's got all that stuff around it.
Yeah, it's got all that stuff around it. There were people there too, which is not good.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about the Nedelin Catastrophe.
Yeah. Because of the way it's written, I was really hoping it was going to be pronounced like Nedelin, like Medellin.
The Nedelin cartel, yeah.
Cartel, that's right. They make the missiles.
Stuff them full of coke and just launch them over the U.S. border.
I would respect a space-borne drug trafficking program so much.
I was thinking Coke Hamas.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool. And, of course, our friends from Cocaine Hamas.
Yeah, it's like rocket mail, only the mail is drugs.
Yes.
Put your drugs in the vacuum tube.
But before we talk about this exciting disaster in the field of Soviet rocketry, we have to do the goddamn news.
Oh boy.
They really managed to royally fuck up on the Mexico City Metro.
Yeah. Well, this killed 25 people or something.
26. Numbers only going up.
Jesus, what? That's awful.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It is in fact not good.
You can kind of, you barely need us to explain what's happened here. One of those pillars, no work no more. And so this Golden Line metro train just sort of took a nosedive off the gap, crushed a guy's car with him in it. So that's the one on the 26. Yeah, not great. And this is kind of this line, the Golden Line, which goes out to a suburb of Mexico City, had been like plagued with problems ever since the earthquake in 2017. They had shut down this exact section, and they had like nominally repaired it, finally reopened it again, and this happens.
Yeah, and it's like it's the newest line on the system too, like line 12.
Yeah, they're going to extend it. Well, we're going to extend it after this.
Well, they probably will still extend it. They'll just fix this section.
Yeah, but that's what they said last time. Also, like,
I would love it if this happened in Britain, and we would have to then insist that actually, when it does this, it's good, and we like it actually.
Yeah, and we've renamed it to the Sir Captain Tom line.
Yeah, there's just someone's photoshopped a big crying, laughing emoji onto the train.
You just continue running trains over this section of track that's suspended in air.
Trains nosediving into the pavement in tribute to key workers.
Yeah, 26 people left triggered by a London Underground accident.
Yeah. So the victims' families have already like protested at the site because they see it as like obvious negligence and obvious corruption in building the thing and then letting it fall down. We don't know for certain yet because there haven't really been any like reports or inquiries or anything, but it's not that difficult to believe, is it? I mean, corruption in a major public transport system
in Mexico City, my God,
never happens. Never happens.
Well, they're certainly getting their stuff built out a lot faster than we are doing here in the USA.
That is true. This is a big problem for AMLO, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, the president of Mexico, because he ran on anti-corruption, and the two mayors of Mexico City, the current one and the previous one, who fucked this up, are both like his guys, his proteges, and this was their like pet project, was we're going to rebuild and we're going to extend the Golden Line, and now it's just like killed a couple of dozen people. Obviously they're making noises about doing like a full inquiry, but we don't know if that's going to actually happen yet.
You're going to have to rebuild this entire fucking viaduct. That's going to be a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, good news. There's plenty of money to be made in construction.
Yes.
A Mexican government official described this as a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not
dolor en el culo. Yeah.
I like that the end of the notes on this slide say this is the worst rail disaster in Mexico since 1975. I mean, the interesting thing there is, of course, after 1975, there were no passenger trains in Mexico anymore.
Yeah.
I think that was after like the 1990s, I guess it was when privatization really hit hard. And they're just like, no passenger trains in Mexico.
They ran two trains into each other in 75, killed a bunch of people, and then shortly after that, they were like, yep, no more trains.
Yep.
That's the solution.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a that's it, back to Winnipeg approach to public transport. Like, nope, you can't have trains anymore. You fucked them up. Gone now. No more.
Until you've proved that you can use your rapid transit system responsibly and not get killed by it, you're going to have to drive.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of driving, here's a big truck.
Cool.
So Wyoming has discovered an innovative way to save its coal industry.
Is it retraining the coal people as like podcasters?
No. A new state law has created a $1.2 million fund to be used by Wyoming's governor to take legal action against other states that opt to power themselves with clean energy, such as solar and wind, in order to meet the needs, in order to tackle the climate crisis, rather than burn Wyoming's coal.
So if you don't buy their coal, they're going to sue you.
They're going to sue you and make you buy the coal.
How the fuck does that work?
Yeah, I've been curious about this too.
I've been very confused about this as well, but I'm excited to see it work. I like the idea that they sue like a solar power operator and make them take delivery of a 200 car unit train of coal every day and just dumping it in a pile next to the solar panels.
They're having to find lots of naughty children to give it to.
Yeah, I work in an inverse coal mine in California. We just dig a perfect replica of the shaft in Wyoming and we put that shit back in.
Now that's how you create jobs.
That's perpetual energy.
Yeah,
We've solved it.
That's the Soviet solution is, I have to buy this coal because they have to export this coal, so we have to keep the number up. So I'm just going to bury this coal perfectly in reverse.
It's carbon sequestration, but for fossil fuels you've dug up.
Now all we need is some guys crushing gasoline back into fish.
Yes.
And we're
an extremely high pressure reverse oil well.
What it is exactly. It's industrialized weightlifting. I pick things up and put them down.
It's like muscle confusion for the earth.
Yeah, I'm excited to see one of these lawsuits happen. I want to see what the outcome is. I think it'd be hilarious for just, they might just force everyone to buy Wyoming coal constantly.
Yeah. It would kind of suck to get sued by Wyoming. You'd want to get sued by a better state, I feel. Oh no, I'm being sued by like 4 guys.
Tex, we're here to sue you.
Yeah.
Probably the wrong accent, but who cares?
I spent a few months in California once, and I once saw a car with a Wyoming plate, and it just had like 4 numbers, and then because they just don't have enough cars in Wyoming, they filled up the rest of the plate with like a picture of a horse.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I got the 5th car in Wyoming.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the fun thing about like the Wyoming coal industry is because all these mines opened in the 60s and 70s. it's not like West Virginia. These things support basically no jobs and no population because everything's so automated.
It's like one guy to drive the truck, and that's it.
Yeah. There's a guy who drives the truck. Even then, some of these trucks are automated now.
Really?
They put down. They're not autonomous trucks. They're automated trucks. They use like radio frequency, RFID stuff to steer. But yeah.
So you're telling me this is a drone?
Yeah, that could be. That's basically a drone. Yeah,
they're absolutely gigantic. Those fucking mining trucks.
They're
Every
really
time
cool.
I see one, I sort of dissociate.
It's cool when you see the little guys being hauled by 18-wheelers. Oh, it makes me happy.
So anyway, buy Wyoming coal or they'll sue you. This is our advice.
Yeah, you got to do it. We ourselves are taking delivery of a unit train of their coal.
Yes, exactly. The annoying thing is you can't. It's not even like it's bituminous. It's bad bituminous too. So you can't use it for home heating.
Yeah, you have to buy our shitty product, or we'll sue you to make you buy our shitty product.
Anyway, so we're going to buy a coal mine in Shamokin, and we're going to start suing people if they don't use our anthracite
You
coal.
have to subscribe to our Patreon, and when you do, we will send you a train full of coal.
Yes.
Yeah. It's bituminous because you have to buy 2 of them, or we'll sue you.
Very good.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Now we have to. That was the news.
That was abrupt.
Oh, where'd you get this picture of my dick?
You should probably see a doctor.
Yeah, for so many things.
I like the 5 fire extinguishers on the front. Like at some point you're gonna run out. You're gonna comically run out of fire extinguishers after having run back and forth 4 times.
It's not gonna help.
Look, sometimes the pussy heats up, and you want to be ready when it does.
What are the 2 green ones for that the 3 red ones are not for?
Oh, maybe they're like carbon dioxide ones, and the other ones are like foam. I don't know.
I guess
the green ones are the ones that create fire, and the red ones put it out.
You don't want to use these ones unless you have to.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, so I thought before we start the episode proper, we'd ask a question, which is, what is an ICBM?
It's this thing here. It's Milo's motorized dick.
Intercontinental bowel movement. I see bowel movement.
It's just something Alice has.
Yeah. 100%. It's called
the ISS.
Irritable conta bowel syndrome. I don't know.
Okay. So
enlighten us, Socrates.
It's an intercontinental ballistic missile, right?
Thank you, Socrates.
And it's intercontinental because it goes a long way, even between continents, and it's a ballistic missile because it follows a ballistic.
Also,
yes, it follows a ballistic trajectory, right? It goes up and then it comes down, right? Now, why do you need an intercontinental ballistic missile?
Show off, driving a parade, drive a bunch of them in a parade.
The Soviets
drive it in a parade. Well, let's say you have a friend, right, and you want to deliver that.
Already unrealistic.
Can't relate.
You want to deliver that friend a present very quickly from a long way away.
Okay.
Sure.
But because it's Friends Day, that friend is also trying to deliver you a present, and you want to get your present there more quickly. So it's a surprise.
Tell me, am I trying to deliver this present to airburst above a major intersection of the house?
That is one option for the present. Now, the present's also very heavy, right? And you have to get it a long way away very quickly because your friend lives a long way away. What you do is you can put the present on top of an intercontinental ballistic missile, and you can fire it into the atmosphere and outside the atmosphere, in fact, into space, and it comes back down and lands somewhere in the vicinity of your friend's house.
Totally irradiating your friend in the process, but who gives a shit about that?
I didn't say what kind of present it was.
And that's why it's important that your friend lives far away, because you want to be outside the range of this present.
Yes.
When he receives it.
And there's some more tactics here, like if you want second present capability, you want to have these want to have these ICBMs in various undisclosed locations or even on the move. I mean, we talked about the train-launched ones in the last episode.
You got a feeling we're not talking about presents anymore.
Yeah.
No, we are.
Well,
let's just shift metaphors here and say, let's say you want to reveal your friend's gender.
Oh, okay. I follow now.
That's impolite. You shouldn't do that.
Outing my friend.
Yeah.
That's that Russian politics right there, just trolling people.
It's a turf ICBM.
In many ways, Hiroshima was the biggest gender reveal ever undertaken.
Yeah.
It's a boy.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was. It was a little boy, and then it was a fat man.
That's right.
Yes.
They grew up so fast.
Yes.
We're going to get canceled for that joke.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, that's why you have an ICBM. Now, Russia's first successful, or the Soviet Union's first successful ICBM was something called the R-16, right?
Is that background supposed to be white?
Yeah, it is.
So you just have like half of a ruler.
Yeah, I do. There's also supposed to be a little man for scale right here.
Oh, that's your little man.
Yeah, that's
the radiation's fucked him up quite badly.
Here, I've made him into an amogus.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, so the R-16, that's not the backwards R. Backwards R is Ya. This is a regular R.
So it's a P-16.
Yeah, it's P-16, I guess. Yeah. And so this was development of an earlier Soviet rocket, which is now used mostly for space launches. The R-7, the R-16, it's a 2-stage rocket, right? Everyone remembers Kerbal Space Program. You got one stage on the bottom, you got another stage on the top, and then I believe from this up here, this is where the present is.
Yeah, and the second stage,
it's a delicious box of cupcake.
That's right. Yes. So your second stage, your bottom rocket, that just drops off and as China did, and as SpaceX did the week before, just gets dropped on some guy's head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. That's someone you're not friends with.
That's the funniest way to get killed by an ICBM is struck by second stage.
That's so embarrassing.
Didn't the Chinese stage come down in New Jersey or something?
There were a couple of Chinese ones that came down in China because mostly they launched them eastwards over the Pacific, and so there were some guys who just got their houses flattened by rocket boosters.
I was going to bed 2 nights ago. I don't know if I'll wake up tomorrow. I might get Donnie Darkoed.
You're not going to get Donnie Darkoed.
Statistically unlikely, but you were in the potential zone of this, and I wasn't. Neither me or Milo were. It topped out at the middle of Spain.
Because Alice and I inhabit an undisclosed location.
That's right.
A bunker many, many furlongs beneath the earth.
Definitely not in Glasgow.
Yeah.
No.
And this is
we're
how
so far beneath the earth, you can't really give it a surface location.
No, and that's why you can't give us presents or reveal our genders.
Right.
Yes.
Correct.
So this guy had about 11,000 kilometer range. You could deliver a 3 to 6 megaton nuclear weapon, right? Or any other thing that weighs about 9 tons.
Yeah. What does weigh about 9 tons? How much does a Tesla weigh?
Not 9 tons. Van? My old van, maybe.
Yeah.
we can ship you Liam's old van very quickly.
Yeah,
we've shipped you a long wheelbase Mercedes Sprinter for Friends Day.
Yeah,
I'm looking at buying a Sprinter right now. Actually, I'm literally on the website. And
nice.
Take this away from me.
You get a 4-minute warning that you're about to get a Mercedes friends.
Yeah. Whoa, you're about to be forcibly made friends with Liam Anderson. It pops up like a Lyft notification. Your friend is Liam Anderson.
Mercedes Sprinter just crashes through the roof of your house. You're like, oh, they remembered.
So this missile was approved for design in 1956. It was designed by Mikhail Yangel, right? Who had a big design bureau in Dnipropetrovsk.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Dnipropetrovsk?
Yes, that's the one.
I think.
The Russian degree really serving you well there, Justin.
I was about
it's in Ukraine, so
Oh fuck! Now I'm cancelled.
Yeah, exactly.
Liam was merely making fun of his dad.
Well, at least we didn't call it the Ukraine.
Yeah,
that would really be.
I'm just gonna be like, it's gonna be a picture of the ISS tweet on that Ukrainian website, and I'll be accused of assaulting the security of mankind.
That's right.
It's not the Ukraine. It's just a Ukraine. There's like 12 of them.
Right. You see, Ross, you say it's in Ukraine, and I say for now. At the time of recording.
Yes.
I would simply say Greater Armenia.
Shut up.
That's right.
Shut up.
I would say Greater Albania. All right. So there were some, when this missile was deployed, there were some issues with it because it was eventually developed and deployed. It took a while to get these things ready. They weren't really in silos. They were in hangars stored sideways. They had to take a big truck and truck them out to a launch pad and then raise them up vertically. They couldn't remain fueled for too long for reasons we'll get into in a second. These were some of the missiles deployed during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, they had about 20 of these at the time.
Yeah.
Which, of course, they exaggerated. So they, the CIA thought they had a couple of hundred.
They actually just had the same missile going back and forth.
Like a train.
we can deliver the Americans up to 20 Mercedes Sprinters.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a guy pushing those missiles through the hole from the other side.
And it used two kinds of propellants, right?
Is this organic chemistry?
Yeah. We're back.
Why do you do this to us?
This looks like another gender reveal. Congratulations, it's Ginger.
So the R-16 missile uses two propellants, right? One of them is unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine, right?
Nailed it.
That's the
fuel. Say so.
And the other one is red fuming nitric acid.
Well, it's fuming.
Yeah,
it's red.
It's doing what it says. That's more of an orange to me, but
yeah, that to me, that fuel is saying, well, it was fucking one of yours. Disgusting.
So, unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine, that's H2NNCH32. So it's got two H's, right? It's got an N. It's got an N. Attached to that N are two CH3s, right? Yeah. So it's a methyl, right? So dimethyl, because there's two methyls, and then there's a hydrazine, right? Colorless liquid. It smells like fish. It's actually it's a very stable chemical, and it can be stored inside rockets for a long time if you need to. That's why it's good for ICBMs. But it's fuel. It requires an oxidizer because there's no air in space, right?
There's an Air and Space Museum.
Yeah, well, that's lies from the Smithsonian Institute.
Those sluts.
Yes.
Yeah. They also learned this about dogs, but there's no air in space.
Yeah, we conducted a very important experiment just to make sure.
One small problem. Turns out dog does not like space very much.
So that's what the red fuming nitric acid is, right? It's a solution of 84% nitric acid, 13% of a chemical called dinitrogen tetroxide, and then the rest is water, right?
So you mix the fish chemical with the iron brew, and as a consequence, rocket go up, right?
Yes, they are hypergolic, excuse me. If these two chemicals touch each other, they immediately burst into flame.
Oh, good.
Yeah, well, that's what you want, because you want to.
That's what you want. It's a rocket. Yeah. That's fine. The problem is red fuming nitric acid is extremely corrosive, right? The stuff attacks basically anything. they didn't store it on board the ICBMs, right? In order to deploy an R-16 rocket, you had to, you brought it out to the launch pad. Then you had to fuel it up with the, the red fuming nitric acid, and then it would be good to go, right? It took like 3 hours to launch one of these things from like cold.
Which is not good if you need to launch presents in a hurry.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you never know when Friends Day is coming.
No, exactly. And if there are presents coming towards you, then you might need to reciprocate. Otherwise, you might have you might be in a situation where you receive presents, but then your friend doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and the presents might be coming directly at you.
Say mutually assured friendship.
Exactly. Yes.
It's a mutual friendship, yes.
Really stretching this metaphor to its absolute limit here.
We're going to keep doing it.
But of course,
all right, we're back to my dick again.
Yeah.
Hi, Milo's dick.
When you pass the MILF check, this is what happens.
A huge team of men and trucks erect my penis using guy ropes.
No one answered, Bay.
Why does it have an anchor?
So you don't. You see, because then it would become too erect and then fall.
And then it has priapism, Alice. You don't want those problems.
I'm not 19 anymore, Alice. That's basically.
So, the R-16 has several improvements over the earlier R-7 rocket, which, became the basis for the Russian space program, but was a pretty shitty ICBM. The propellants it used were more stable and easier to store, since your red fuming nitric acid and the other thing,
dimethyl
unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine. Yes.
Okay. Say unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine and Dnepropavlovsk a bunch of times.
No.
In quick succession.
Time to activate the listener. Must give friend Mercedes Sprinter.
One of the notable so these propellants, as dangerous as they are, they're easier to store than what the R7 ran on, which was a bunch of cryogenic hydrogen and crap like that, or whatever the hell it was, right?
Yeah.
It's more compact, it's easier to control than the R7. So after development was approved in 1956, after about 4 years of development, it looked like the first test flight could occur by November 1960 or so, a whopping 10 months ahead of schedule, right? So, this rocket was designed by Mikhail Yangel and his design collective. I'm not sure what that is.
It's an OKB. It's a great Soviet invention where you lock a bunch of nerds in a special nerd camp and you make them work for you. It's sometimes called a sharashka. And it's like it basically you have a bunch of semi-imprisoned intellectuals, some of them former Nazis in the early days, and then just dissidents and stuff. And you just say, okay, this OKB, because they're numbered, so OKB 1, OKB 722 or whatever. You guys make planes, you guys make rockets, you guys make toasters or whatever. So he has his little staff of rocket guys.
I see. Okay.
I like the idea. Design Collective makes it sound like some kind of hipster thing. Like they're going to be featured.
Yeah, they have
in
a
Vice.
Helvetica font. It's very nice.
Yeah, exactly. We went to Chelyabinsk and met these guys who are doing LSD and designing rockets.
It's an experimental design bureau.
They're all wearing huge wavy garms, like streetwear that's 8 sizes too big.
So, but the program itself was under control of another guy who was Marshal Mitrofan Nedelin, right? He's Chief Marshal of Artillery of the Soviet Union.
Yep.
Slavs really do be out here being called Mitrofan.
Yes.
Hero of the Soviet Union. You can look him up. Absolutely. If you've seen a Stalinist military portrait before, you know what this guy looks like. He looks like every other Stalinist general. The hair kind of back to here, 18,000 medals directly on the center of the chest.
Yes.
And sort of personality to match. He's a cool guy.
I'm trying to work out what the deal is with the name Mitrofan, because I've never heard that name before. Is it some kind of like? It feels like it might be one of those fucked up Soviet ones where they like they made up loads of names that they used to give people that like aren't Russian names. They're like weird like acronyms and compounds. Like you meet loads of people who were born in like the 50s who are called Marlian, which is like a compound of Marx and Lenin. But it's not a Russian name at all.
It's apparently it's a churchy name. It's Greek. It's Metrophanes.
Right, okay.
So it's an obscure ass name, but it is it's not a thing.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Presumably there was a guy calling this guy Mitrofanushka, which I am told is the hyperchoristic of it.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Mitrushka. Yeah. Well, and I'm okay. So but his father was called Ivan, so just like every other Russian man.
Yeah, but Ivan was like, fuck this like basic name shit. I'm gonna go into the big book of baby names and fucking church Slavonic, and I'm gonna pick one that nobody has.
Yeah, we're gonna go hardcore here.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go off piste. Name our son something rogue.
Just give him an American name. Something weird like
Steve.
that. Yeah, it's Steve.
This is my son
Nedelin.
Brunk. Branson.
Just naming your kids like Sarah Palin did. Trig Nedelin.
It's a Russian name, but you spell it in in English characters, right? You know, like when they replace an I with a Y in American names. Yeah.
I should point out
Haley with like 6 U's for some reason.
If you want a sense of this guy's personality, what he did in the war was, well, he became the chief marshal of artillery, which meant he spent his war firing field guns at the Nazis for like 4 years until eventually like shelling Berlin.
This is the guy who's good at shelling Nazis. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't get called Mitrofan for nothing. I also noticed that it lists his place of death as the Baikonur Cosmodrome, which I sense foreshadows some things which are going to happen.
So he thinks, all right, so Nedelin thinks he can give a great gift to Khrushchev by getting this rocket finished and tested by the anniversary of the Russian Revolution, November 7th, 1960, right?
Sure.
Now, keep in mind the whole time, this project was 10 months ahead of schedule, right? There was no reason for any of this rush other than, let's get it done before November 7th.
Because he wants his second hero of the Soviet Union is what he wants.
My God, I mean, I think one hero of the Soviet Union is enough.
Come on, man! Shoot for the stars, possibly literally in this case.
Yeah, you see that's what a guy who only has 0 hero of the Soviet Union would say.
Like Brezhnev had 4, and he gave himself 3 of them.
That's hey,
king
man.
shit. Ironically,
yeah, it's called self-care. Every time I feel a little bit down, I make myself hero of the Soviet Union again.
Yeah. Could you have king shit in the Soviet Union, or did you have to say like general secretary
shit? General shit.
Comrade shit.
Shock worker shit. Udarnik shit.
So after a pretty panicked and rushed construction, Yangel delivered the first test vehicle, LD-1-3T, to the test range, which would later become known as the Baikonur Cosmodrome, right? Which is in Kazakhstan. It's actually, the Russians still launch rockets from Kazakhstan because they don't have their own launch pad.
No, when you're going to need to borrow someone else's rocket pad.
Closest bit of the USSR to the equator, nice weather, nothing around to smash rockets into. It's perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. You like to keep that shit in Kazakhstan in case it explodes. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
They used to they named the launch pad after a town 300 kilometers to the north to confuse people.
Makes sense.
Baikonur, yeah, and that's just a little tiny mining town. And then for a while after they built it, the people of that tiny mining town use this fact to get just anything they wanted delivered to them really promptly.
I really appreciate that, like, the Soviet Union's instinctive secrecy meant that you could just be like, yeah, I'm on like a top secret mission, and you're just like a minor.
Yeah.
But you use that to talk your way into getting like a nice watch, like a car or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you talk your way into getting a Mercedes Sprinter delivered to your fucking basher.
So in late October 21st, 1960 was when the missile reached the launch pad for the first time after being assembled. And after checks and tests, this missile was fueled on October 23rd, right?
I should point out, when you say assembled, you mean like hurriedly assembled, like guys with wooden hammers hitting stuff with stuff.
Yes. Well, I think they had a proper assembly building of some kind. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a job. That's when you hit a big rocket with a big hammer.
Yes. So now this was sort of the point of no return here, right? Due to the corrosive red fuming nitric acid, if the rocket had to be defueled for some reason, it would have to be extensively refurbished before they could launch it, right?
Yeah, because it's acid. It's just eating away at the inside of the thing.
There is also no procedure for defueling the rocket on the pad. Yeah.
That's terrific.
Now, Marshal Nedelin, to his credit, he decides, I'm going to oversee this entire thing myself, right? I'm going to be there.
Hands-on management. Yeah.
He's doing hands-on management, yeah.
Give me a hammer, let me at the rocket.
Exactly.
You don't get your second hero of the Soviet Union by watching somebody else fire a rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go do it. I'm going to push the big red button myself.
With this hammer.
So as a result, everyone who was working on this rocket was under a huge amount of pressure since, Marshal Nedelin had a rank which is, I guess, equivalent to, in the United States, we'd call it General of the Army. I mean, he's like the guy. He's like the main guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, like Russia's always had more marshals than the US has, or Britain has even. But like, it's right after the Second World War. Like, all of these guys who fought their way to fucking Berlin are still around, more or less, just dripping with every medal they could give them. Like, you don't say no to that guy. He's been from fucking Stalingrad to fucking West Germany.
So, but the problem was this missile was constantly having little glitches and technical failures on the launch pad. And, they'd send people up to do real quick patches and fixes, and those all started stacking on top of each other, which meant no one knew what was going on anymore. All the work took longer to do than it needed to. Some people working on this rocket were working for 72 hours straight, right?
Oh, that's how you avoid mistakes, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I was just working on this rocket normally. And then I had this Nazi chocolate, which enabled me to work for 72 hours.
Yeah, the Americans got all of the Nazi personnel, but the Soviet Union got all of the Nazi chocolate.
You can't have one without the
distributing
other.
meth chocolate to my dissident scientists.
There were a lot of deviations from the safety protocol. And some of these deviations were astonishingly stupid and dumb.
Hit me.
All right. So here is an example. On this rocket, right, in order to allow it to stay fueled for longer, right, the propellant tanks were sealed from the pipes to the rocket engine by something called blowout discs, right?
Uh-oh.
And the blowout disc, the way it works is, it's a disc which is sort of perforated in the tank, right? And when the rocket is ready to go, this disc is blown pyrotechnically with black powder out of the way. Right?
A cool thing to have next to your incredibly volatile chemicals.
This is not the only pyrotechnic valve in the system.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Right. So that black powder charge blows the disc out of the way. Then the rocket propellant can reach the engine, right? It can't quite reach the engine because there's another valve the main valve, which is also actuated pyrotechnically below that, right?
Okay.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
This is because you only use the missile once. So they wanted to avoid having a real complicated system of electro-pneumatical valves. They just decided, why don't we just use a little bit of black powder and some pressure?
It's a waste of money, because if it gets to the point where you and your friend are exchanging presents, it's going to matter a great deal how much you spent on those presents, because you're going to need to carry on afterwards with your finances.
Yes.
Yeah, you need a bomb inside your bomb to start your bomb on its way to explode. That's my understanding.
Now, in this test vehicle, these blowout discs were notoriously unreliable, right? So
No.
Yeah. So Nedelin decided, along with some of the other folks, all right, what we need to do is make sure these blowout discs work it right. So what we should do is we should manually blow them all before we launch the missile.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is while there were 100 or more people on the launch pad, right?
Nice.
This is called being cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Now,
good idea, machine, baby.
The method by which they would determine whether the blowout discs were in fact blown out was to have a guy sit in the rocket next to the blowout disc and listen.
Okay. All right. Yeah, dudes rock, actually.
What?
Yeah. Fuck you, rock. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this. This is just Russians doing Russian shit. Like, they deep down, they just all want to die.
Yeah.
Like, the void calls to them. The same thing that makes them go bungee jumping off their 9-story apartment block on a Wednesday afternoon is the same thing that decides to, like, oh, I'm just going to check if the nuclear missile is working by listening for the detonator.
Yeah, just using a comical ear trumpet to put my ear to the missile.
Exactly.
We every episode we do of this, we find one guy who has the worst job in the episode, and I think it's this guy who has to sit inside the rocket like fucking Gravity's rainbow.
Yeah, I just imagine like comedy shit like, oh yeah, well the only way to tell if the launch sequence has been initiated is if you use the most sensitive part of your body, your anus, to feel the tip of the top of the missile. So what we're going to do is going to butter it up, and then you're going to sit up there, and then we're going to hit the launch button.
So this is obviously not very safe, because if there were like an unexpected leak in the fuel supply, it would just poison the guy immediately, right? And they did not give the guy a gas mask for this situation because that would interfere with the hearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, dudes rock.
Yes. So they started this procedure in the evening on the 23rd, and they started with the second stage blowout discs. And they hit the button, and no one heard anything.
It's safe. It works.
But someone saw some wisps of smoke from the lower stage, and they realized, oh, the buttons are mixed up. Uh-oh.
Oh, jeez.
I told you I labeled 1 for the second one and 2 for the first one. It's perfectly straightforward.
What are you shouting at me?
Listen, it's a simple numerical system. 1 and A. Obviously, A comes first.
All right, so they called a meeting. They called a meeting with Nedelin and a bunch of other guys who were in charge of the rocket here. They're like, all right, what do? We got to do something here to what's the word? Make sure that the rocket is functioning correctly. Something's wrong with the electrics. What are we going to do? And Nedelin's like, well, we'll fix the rocket while it's fueled up and sitting there on the launch pad. And everyone except for one guy is like, yeah, that's a great idea. Lieutenant Colonel Titov disagreed. He said, I want that rocket defueled and off my range. But I guess Nedelin was able to overrule him, despite the fact that he was notionally in charge of the rocket facility.
Yeah, just beat him into submission with his greater number of medals.
Yes. Yeah, it was like, when was the last time you shelled Berlin?
Same time you did.
I gotta be honest, man. You're sounding really like a guy who was like a no times hero of the Soviet Union right now.
Now go put your anus on that rocket.
Lube's in the kitchen. Good luck to
you. So the rocket was sitting on the launch pad, fueled up, with the fuel in the pipes all the way to the engines, with only some pyrotechnic valves stopping the whole thing from just going off, right? Now, the decision was made to replace the main electrical controller and some of the pyrotechnic valves on the rocket while it was fueled up, and then commence the test flight. And then, to prove it was safe, Nedelin decided he was going to direct the operation from a lawn chair right next to the rocket.
God. Yeah, well,
okay,
all right. Cool. Put your money where your mouth is, I guess.
Yeah.
I should also point out, like, in terms of the proximity required here, this required guys to go up on ladders against the rocket. Just like put a ladder up against it and reinstall the valve.
I love the Soviet version of Dr. Strangelove. It's very cool, actually.
So now, along with the 100 personnel necessary to work on this rocket, there was something like 150 more unnecessary personnel just hanging around, right? To take a look at the pretty missile, I guess. I don't know what they were there for.
There's nothing fucking in Baikonur. What are you going to do?
That's a good point, yeah. Now, as the 23rd of October turned into the 24th, there were some more problems that started to assert themselves. Wires started shorting from the pyrotechnic charges, right? The program sequencers, which we'll get into in a second, they all got out of alignment for mysterious reasons.
I think it's really nice, and like I'm thinking here of Chernobyl as well, that every piece of Soviet technology responds to being tested beyond any sensible limits by a madman who is determined to like meet some insane artificial target by like essentially telling you that you're taking the piss, right? It's like sparks are coming off of it, big lights are coming on. Like nothing seems to just fail in the Soviet Union.
All you have to do is stop.
Yeah.
All you have to do is stop and nothing bad will happen. And yet they take it too far every time.
Yeah. But it seems like we've built all of our technology in a really portentous way. So if you're really gonna fuck with it, it's gonna start making weird doom noises. Did anybody hear the rocket just go boom, boom? Nah, it's fine. It's probably fine.
It's fine. But yeah, this was an unhappy missile. But Nedelin wanted the workers to press on. They had to fly before the anniversary of the revolution.
Why, though?
To commemorate the anniversary of the revolution. Weren't you listening?
Listen. They're 10 months ahead of schedule, but they're also late.
That's the Soviet way.
Yes. And with the blowout panels gone, there was no time to waste, right? They had about 48 hours before the nitric acid corroded its way through.
Yeah. Little spoiler there.
Spoiler there. Yeah, and I got to find my place again. Right. They had about 48 hours before the nitric acid corroded its way through the pipes and made the whole rocket unusable, right? At that point, they'd have to send it back and get all that entire system refurbished, right? Nedelin is like adding more and more pressure on the guys to get this rocket fired, right?
Sure.
So this is a quote I found from a book called "Rockets and People: Creating a Rocket Industry" by Boris Chertok, who sort of indirectly worked on this missile.
Like Nedelin was saying things like, "The last one to launch this rocket is gay."
It was still morning when the NII-4 chief, General A.I. Sokolov, approached the marshal and dared to warn him about the danger of being on the launch pad in the immediate vicinity of the fueled missile. The marshal snapped back at him, "If you are a coward, then leave."
fucking got his ass.
Okay.
The offended Sokolov departed the airfield and flew to Moscow.
Yeah, I think if I were in that situation, I might be like, yeah, I am a coward. I am also leaving very quickly right now. Yeah.
Just dropping deuces on the way out.
Yes, I am gay. Please, let me get on the plane.
So on the 24th, oh boy, so they had made a couple crucial deviations from protocol, right? One of the big ones was in order to one of the problems is in Kazakhstan is cold, right? And what doesn't work in cold? It's batteries. So the battery on the second
and also my dick.
Yes. So the battery on the second stage had been activated early in order to warm itself up. This was they had a sort of weird Rube Goldberg machine method of activating this battery on the second stage.
Yeah, a guy knocks a ball down a slide, which knocks over a house of cards, which trips a mousetrap.
The electrode of the battery is a liquid, right? Which is in a balloon. And the balloon is suspended over the rest of the battery. And when the second stage battery needs to wake up, an air compressor comes on. It inflates the balloon, which inflates until it reaches a knife. And the
knife. I love engineering. It's so cool.
This missile is not deadly enough. We just put a knife in there.
We put a knife in it.
Yeah, that's all right.
The knife pops the balloon and the electrode flows into the battery and starts it up.
This is some Russian space pen shit. You know that story? About how the Americans invested millions and millions in a pen that worked in space, and the Russians used a pencil.
The Russians simply used a balloon full of mercury or something. Yeah,
yeah. They used a balloon full of mercury and a knife.
Yeah, that's all right. What I'm curious about is what is powering the air compressor. It seems to me they have a whole other battery that's already working.
No, it's the guy in there cranking it by hand.
Yeah, he's just blowing in that thing.
Just opening the little door, being like, "Ivan, you need anything?" No, leave me to my work. Slams tiny door.
Yeah,
I have no idea what runs the air compressor. That's a good point. There's probably like a whole diesel engine on there or something. So, all right. So they had turned on the battery on the second stage, and also in addition to turning on the battery, all the controls were connected to the battery, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to do that until like all the non-essential personnel are away from the launch pad. You know, this is like the last thing you do the last manual thing you do before you launch the thing, right? Another issue was, okay, so they didn't have computers on these missiles, right? But they still needed.
No, it's 1960.
Yeah, they need sophisticated methods of triggering various things in the rocket, though, right? To make it happen, right?
Sure, a series of balloons and knives.
Yes. So in order to make the series of balloons and knives work, they had something called a programmed sequencer, right? And the programmed sequencer is a step motor which can react to some kind of input, and a camshaft which makes electrical contacts at prescribed points to make the missile do things, right?
We're getting dangerously close to the diesel generator thing here.
It's more of a player piano.
Okay. We've got a music box. When you open this port in the missile, a little ballerina pops out and it plays like Claire de Lune.
Yes. So in order to start the launch sequence, all these program sequencers, the shafts need to be at their 0 point, but a lot of them have been turned forward inadvertently during testing for reasons I didn't fully understand when I read the
guy
chapter.
Steps on them on the way up.
Yeah.
Guy hits him with a hammer.
So anyway, at T-minus 30 minutes to launch, about 6:45 p.m., October 24th, 1960, the rocket designer who's on the scene, Mikhail Yangel, decided to go take a smoke break, right?
Uh-oh.
So he went into the smoking bunker, which is off to the side.
Yeah, in order to smoke safely, you have to be totally enclosed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the reverse of usual.
In case someone were trying to give you a present while you were smoking.
Yes. So he and some of his colleagues were very surprised by the flash that his lighter generated when he lit his cigarette, and then the sound hit, boom, right? Real big boom, several booms, in fact, because the upper stage of the rocket decided to turn itself on.
Oh boy,
yeah,
it's still attached to the.
It's still attached, yes. That didn't last long because, of course, having a huge amount of rocket fuel fire is not good for the top of the lower stage. So it exploded, right? And then the second stage exploded. This is while people are like crawling all over the rocket on like ladders and crap, right?
Oh, fuck.
So, the propellants flying everywhere. There's rocket parts flying everywhere. There's hundreds of people on and around the rocket at the time of the explosion. Some of them were sort of like vaporized instantly. Some of them were burned alive. Some ran for the fences, and they made it to the fences. The fences were barbed wire, and they got tangled in it. And then they fell in a ditch, and then the low-hanging noxious gases sort of collected there and suffocated them. It was pretty
All
bad.
this time there's a guy in a lawn chair going, these people try to extinguish themselves. They're homosexuals. Burn with pride.
Yeah, Nedelin himself was probably dead before he even knew something was wrong.
So as far as he's concerned, he did a great job.
Everything went fine.
He did a really great job, yeah.
Everything's ahead of schedule.
What's the problem?
It did sort of launch ahead of schedule.
That's true. That is true.
That is true.
That is true. Yeah.
Even more ahead of schedule than he was hoping.
It reminds me once again
don't
of
even
my
need the first stage.
Reminds me of my favorite Chernobyl joke, which is the TV newsreader comes on and he says in a sort of in a grave voice, last night at approximately 7:20 p.m., the Vladimir Ilyich Lenin nuclear power plant generated its quota for the 5-year plan in 0.1 microseconds.
Yeah, another issue is there's lots of non-essential personnel on the launch pad, so they all got murdered as well.
Yeah, guy in a lawn chair, guy up a ladder, guy hammering stuff with a wooden mallet.
Yep,
guy just watching.
Bunch of those old Italian men who stare at construction workers.
Rocket Umarels. Yeah.
He's not supposed to do that.
It turned out that the program sequencer, which controlled the propellant system, right, the little player piano, had a flaw.
Oh, boy.
Oh, go on.
When it was reset to 0, the cam passed through the phase that made the rocket turn on. That shouldn't have been a problem.
Because it shouldn't have been fueled and the battery shouldn't have been on, except for this guy just decided, no, we'll do that.
Fuck it.
This is the most, this is the disaster we can trace most to one guy since we did the Costa Concordia.
Yes. The battery was connected. The blowout panels were manually blown. The second stage was like, all right, time to go. I'm excited. And, the rocket just.
I mean, just systematically removing every single safety feature so that you can get the thing done faster, and then parking yourself in a lawn chair next to it is such a strong energy.
Dudes rock.
Yeah. Suicide by engineering.
Yeah.
Well.
So, they killed like 120 people, I think, possibly more.
I mean, never going to know because everybody's fucking chunky marinara at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, chunky marinara.
Yeah.
Should laugh
one of the
at
favorite
that.
Baseball players of the 30s.
Yeah, chunky marinara has rigged the World Series once again.
It's Russian, so it's like borscht.
Now, so what we have here is a picture of the launch pad, which of course was totally destroyed and never rebuilt. The bunkers are all still there. They look like clay ovens now because they've got baked.
Oh boy.
All they found of Nedelin was they found his Hero of the Soviet Union medal because that was gold. So they found that melted into the fucking launch pad. They found one of his shoulder boards and they found his watch. Which is more of him than you'd expect, really.
I was about to say.
It goes to show that Soviet watches were well made.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to buy like a Vostok or something if you want it to. If you want to get blown up, then buy a Vostok.
Doesn't keep
Did the guys in the smoking bunker survive?
Yeah.
The guys in the smoking bunker all survived. Yeah,
because they were, they were in the bunker where Nedelin should have been.
That smoking is good for your health.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Of course, the Soviet authorities covered the whole thing up. All of these guys died in plane crashes, officially.
That's a lot of plane crashes.
Yeah, every single one of these guys was on a different secret mission in the interests of the state and all died in plane crashes.
I buy it.
Now, Khrushchev was, of course, very, very angry about this. So he flew down to Baikonur and... one of the things that I found was that he shouted at Yangel, the guy who had designed the rocket and who had gone out for a smoke, like, "Why are you still alive?" And he yelled at the guy so hard that Yangel had a fucking heart attack. He was off work for months. Before this, he was like trying to replace Sergei Korolev as the the scientific lead for the manned space program, and just not anymore. Also, another fun consequence of this, since this made the Soviet Union, the Soviet military, decide that multi-stage ICBMs weren't reliable, somebody had the bright idea, what if we need to deliver presents in a hurry, we put a bunch of single-stage, shorter-range missiles in Cuba?
Smart idea.
So this very nearly became like the one disaster, the one guy that like ended all life on Earth because it precipitated the Cuban Missile Crisis. People also think that it stopped the Soviets getting to the moon, but they're confusing it with a different set of explosions which took out the Russian competitor to the Saturn V. But like, there is a broader point here that I want to pull out, which is that the Soviets were never really able to reconcile the civilian and the military aspects of their space program. Like, the US did that poorly enough, right? Like, the Air Force was still launching stuff from Vandenberg, and you had a bunch of, like, secret shuttle missions and stuff. But, like, here, like, in the Soviet Union, everything was controlled by the military in terms of spaceflight. And so they had absolutely no interest in stuff that you couldn't use as an ICBM. And so they kept working on this rather than stuff that would have been more useful for going to the moon.
That N1 rocket video, their Saturn V equivalent, is always entertaining to watch because it literally looks like they accidentally put the rocket in reverse.
Yeah. Well, what can we learn, if anything, from this? What does this say about Russia and the Russian character and the Russian soul?
Well, first of all, that they'd be going for a cigarette, and
that's
they're right to.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
If these were Americans, they would have been like chewing tobacco, and they would have all died.
Exactly.
Hey, none of that. They would have lived because they were tough as nails. Is what.
Yeah, Russians would take this as a vindication of their entire lifestyle. Like, yeah, if I was there, I would also not stand next to the rocket that was built in Russia. I would go and have a cigarette several hundred meters away.
Yeah, start smoking, kids. It's good for you.
This is the moral of the story. Take a smoke break.
Hey, no thanks, buddy. I'm union. And just like smoking, and the thing goes up.
Right, Soviet rocket builder union.
That is right.
If only they had unionized, we could have avoided this.
I was about to say. I mean, if you want to get away from like an oppressive state like this, you want better working conditions. I think they maybe should have tried communism.
Why don't you ever criticize the Soviets?
I know everybody was waiting for that drop. Yeah, I was saving it.
That is right.
All right. Well, we have a segment on this podcast called Safety Third.
Shake hands with danger.
Where we do it after it too, Alice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, spicy.
Hello there, WTYP gang.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. I assume they can hear us.
I'm an electrician with a safety horror story, and also why you should always take your PPE seriously.
Uh-oh.
This isn't the usual type of story you would usually tell for a safety third, but the body horror factor later gives me hope it will make it on the show.
Yeah, that's positive already.
Yes. I was working on a 6-story hospital that was really behind schedule. We had been working 84.
Well, should have got some Soviet guys on that.
That's right.
I was about to say, they could have got it done 10 months early, and then it would blow up.
We fill hospital with rocket fuel. It becomes very hypergolic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all the doors are pyrometrically triggered for some reason.
Yeah, I touch off this black powder charge to enter every fucking door in the hospital.
That's right. Yeah, breaching and clearing into the ward.
Yeah, welcome to fucking pediatrics.
That's right.
We had been working 84-hour weeks, 7 12-hour days for about 2 months. We were working on the 3rd floor on all the ICUs and CCUs, right?
So,
what's a CCU?
I don't know what
critical care unit, I think.
Okay.
It's like the thing down from an intensive care unit.
Got it.
The floor of the building was almost done, and we were installing the can trims into the pre-installed fixtures. That's these guys, this inverted solo cup.
This little hat.
Yeah, it's
with a metronome on it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There were about 8 of us working in the floor, and some of us were standing in a circle fucking off, as you do when you haven't had a day off in 2 months of 12-hour days. When one of our coworkers, a 6'5" tattoo-covered ex-convict fresh out of prison, hobbles out of the room he was working in, holding his hand over his eye. He stares us down with his uncovered eye for a couple seconds and simply says, "I have an emergency."
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Now I have to ask, what is a lighting can trim? It is a cone-shaped light fixture made to go into a cylindrical can pre-installed in the ceiling.
It's the thing the light goes into, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Usually these trims are held in place by 2 stiff springs with 5-inch rods sticking out on both ends of the spring. These will fit 2 corresponding hooks in the pre-installed fixture, and with a simple push, the trim will usually suck its way up into the hole.
Yeah, I've been there.
Just like my dick.
That's right.
Yes. Just like after having 2 trucks to erect it. Yes.
Yeah, I get 2 trucks to erect my dick, and then I force it into a piece of drywall, and the springs come out, and it installs there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I can't move.
I just get locked into the ceiling by my fucking dick.
Well, that's what I'm into, so the joke's on you. It's called kink.
That's right.
Anyway, not on this job. The fuckhead drywallers cut the holes too small, so getting these cans in was a double bitch. The phrase
"fuckhead drywallers" makes me pretty happy.
Yeah. Let's start a band. Fuckhead drywallers.
When you want to install one of these trims, you need to hold the springs closed tightly in your fingers and look into the hole to see the hooks and match them up. As previously mentioned, these holes were cut too small, so the hooks were damn near impossible to see. So our friend here decided, fuck this shit, I can't see these damn hooks, and took his hard hat and safety glasses off to see the hooks better.
Oop.
As
Not
he was
liking where this is going.
Put your eye as close to the spring as possible.
Yes. See that sharp object, that sharp protruding object? What you should do is you should put your eye right next to it.
That's what we mean when we say eyeball something, is put your physical eyeball onto it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's an ICBM. Sometimes it's a light fixture.
That's right.
These are both equally dangerous.
Use your anus to feel the hole.
Oh boy, it has nubbly ridges.
I'm going to get hero of the electricians union.
Yeah, that's right.
As he was sticking the trim into the ceiling, one of the hooks caught on the edge of the hole and shot straight through his cornea and into his pupil.
How does that happen? Explain to me how that happens. Diagram that shit.
I'm going to be honest. I've been a little bit confused reading this one because I don't understand the mechanics behind this. I need maybe I need because I don't know.
Gonna need some pictures here, dude.
Yeah, I'm not going to need to see those.
I'm happy to
I am
pictures
also
either.
good.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this guy's word for it.
Same.
Turns out the clear fluid rolling down his cheek wasn't tears. It was his viscous humor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Half of us almost vomited when we saw his saggy
I'm pretty
eyeball.
close.
He had to be medevaced to Little Rock, as it was the only place that had an optometrist capable of this kind of surgery.
What a hell of a way to go, man.
The dude got to keep his eye and even still has 2/3 use of it.
How the fuck do you have 2/3 use of an eye?
I have
do you get
no
it
idea.
like every second month and weekends?
This is the world's worst custody battle.
You're going to drop off my eye with my ex-wife.
I have to drop
That's
it
right.
off with the hook. But it wasn't all bad, though, as this guy is now a fucking 6'5" tattoo covered ex-convict fresh out of prison with an eye patch.
Okay. I fuck with it. Yeah.
And he's now the health and safety guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do not wear your safety glasses, there is a risk that you will become extremely cool.
Yes.
Mm.
You become like that Republican guy,
Dan Crenshaw, bud.
Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
Dan
one.
Crenshaw lost an eye by like trying to suck his own dick on top of an IED or whatever, whereas this
Yeah,
guy lost his working.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
this guy's a worker.
It's weird that that's how you have to diffuse an IED, but
Ow.
Sorry, Nate. And Joe. And Francis. And Dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of our veteran friends are going to be very, very annoyed by us owning Dan Crenshaw.
they love him.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's what Joe DMs me in the middle of the night to tell me how much he loves Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah, see,
I
this is
love
why
Dan Crenshaw in particular and
also,
the Navy SEALs
also
in
how
general.
Armenia is actually Albania.
Shut the fuck up, Ross.
this is why you can't replace me with Joe Kasabian, is because he loves Dan Crenshaw too much. Famously.
That is true. I know that to be true. Like I said, he DMs me once a week.
If he had kept his hard hat on, the brim would have caught the hook and his safety glasses would have done obvious things. And you can always wear them like a disgruntled librarian looking for the people talking too loud if you can't see well, right?
What, you just push them down your nose?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Doesn't that defeat the purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
This is also bad safety advice in this safety advice.
I don't know. Actually, that probably would have still helped this guy because if they were down the bridge of his nose, they would have just poked back up by the
I guess
pokey
so.
thing.
Yeah.
The real moral of the story is don't work your fucking guys 84 hours a week and not expect accidents to happen. During the crunch time, we had 2 shocks, one resulting in half a drop ceiling being torn down and an EKG ran. The other guy had to be kicked off a 10-foot ladder. The other guy was kicked off a 10-foot ladder, breaking his arm on impact. Now he can't raise his hands above his head. Long hours have a human cost, and buildings aren't worth it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, fill them all with rocket fuel.
Yeah. P.S. 5 months after this hospital opened, a tornado came through town, and the first thing that popped into my mind was I swear to fucking God, if I have to go back to Jonesboro.
Yeah, it launched every single one of those cups out of the fucking ceiling.
That's the only damage it did.
Yeah, hundreds and hundreds of eye surgeries urgently needed. These things are like eye-seeking missiles.
I have to build an eye hospital next to it.
Yeah.
Did you just say eye-seeking missile?
They use a different kind of lighting fixture that'll, like, I don't know, fuck up people's ears or something.
That'd be cool.
Well, safety third.
Yes.
Shake hands with danger.
See, I got it on both ends that time.
I'm
Very
so
nice.
proud of you.
Thank you.
No one said you weren't going to.
No, I don't know. Somebody in the comments probably will, and then there'll be like 500 replies.
Excellent. Let's get that
One guy
engagement.
pissing and shitting his pants over Alice.
No, it's two guys. There were two guys pissing and
Pissing
shitting
and
their
shitting their
pants.
pants over Alice.
So our next episode is on the Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster.
That's right. Milo, thank you so much for joining us.
yeah,
You have
nice
some
to be
stuff
here.
you have some stuff to plug, right? You have a show coming out.
Yes.
I do, yeah. There's I have a show on the 30th of this month, May, in London at Vauxhall Comedy Club. So if you're in London, you can come to it. But if you're not in London, you can watch it online, for which there are also tickets. This is apparently possible now. You can watch things live on the internet. So there, if you go on my Twitter, there'll be like a link to that. Also, I have a podcast called Masters of Our Domain where we allegedly talk about Seinfeld, but not very much.
Yeah, I've been on it before. It's a great time. Yeah.
Yeah, Alice is coming back on this month.
That's right.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that is right. So
At some point, you should probably have like these two guys on. Otherwise, it's going to seem like favoritism.
Yeah,
I
it's
was about
fine.
to
We'll
say.
just go fuck
Yeah,
ourselves.
you guys
for a
should
while.
come on.
It's fine.
Come talk about Seinfeld.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I don't want to be on your
I
stupid
don't even like
podcast anyway.
Seinfeld. Yeah.
The chills? No.
I was thinking are we gonna get through this whole episode without Liam doing self-internalized anti-Semitism?
Nope.
No.
Well, Phoebe likes to do that on Masters of Our Domain too, because recently there was one particular episode we were doing where she really wanted a Jewish guest, and we booked a guest who turned out to be great, but the whole time Phoebe in advance was trying to work out whether he was Jewish or not.
That is a Seinfeld episode.
Listen.
That is the plot of an episode of Seinfeld. Is Elaine will fucking like it would invite somebody onto a podcast if they had podcasts, and then be trying to like feel out whether or not he was Jewish.
Liam is 100% Jewish, and therefore you can be 100% certain.
It's all right.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's Liam, baby.
Yeah. I'm just sat in a lawn chair right next to the podcast.
I'm just up at the top of the podcast.
I'm just this
checking
guy,
for
you know?
the pyrotechnic charges.
Pyrotechnically actuated podcast.
Yes.
Exactly.
Does anyone else have commercials before we go?
Kill James Bond podcast. Listen to it. Patreon. Also, give me more of your money. I need it.
We should probably also Trash Future. Trash Future is another podcast.
Oh yeah, both Milo and I are on the podcast.
Yes.
Trash Future.
Check that
You may be
out.
aware of it. Check that out.
Yes.
Please do.
We have a bonus episode coming out when Roz writes it about the cathedral.
Yeah, cathedrals. Yes.
We should. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm good.
I'm gonna do that after we finish this, which I think
Excellent.
we're finished.
Perfect. Yeah, we're done. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Fuck off.
everybody.
All right. Yeah. Bye.
Oh, no,
Fuck
wait,
off.
edit that out.
No threats of self-harm come from this podcast.
No, we're wholesome.
No,
Yes.
open up a lawn chair and sit next to a fueling rocket is the most we can say.
And put it up your
No
ass.
self-harm. Actionable threats of violence to others.
Definitely put it up your ass, though.
Wait.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Obviously.
right,
Make
well-
sure you get an ICBM with a flared base, though. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You get in trouble that way.
Ribbed
I think-
ICBM.
I think we're done.
All right, bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.